Hi, and thanks for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving. My name is Heather Nielsen. I work as a licensed professional counselor and certified health and wellness coach in Hood River, Oregon. But more importantly for our purposes today, I am someone living with diabetes type 1 since 1997. Diabetes is a big problem, and it can create a lot of suffering. And for the 150 million plus of us around the world who live with diabetes, holidays such as Thanksgiving can be complicated since there's so much energy around food and sociability, and the weather in many places is not so great for exercise, and all these things with self-care that are important can get challenging. And I'm here today to share a practice with you, a solution, a tool to help all of us with diabetes to live well. And I am grateful for all of the teachers that have taught me mindfulness, meditation, self-compassion, and loving kindness. And in one session today, I would like to share a sampling of all of those practices in hopes that it will give you some comfort and ease today, and it may offer you something to take with you going forward to put in your toolkit of diabetes self-care. So thank you again for joining me, and thank you also for making time for yourself. This is my gift to you, and I hope that you'll pass it on. So we generally start any meditation with finding some ease in the body. So I invite you to assume a comfortable position, seated or laying down. Hopefully you can be undisturbed for the next 10 minutes. And I invite you to use the practice of interoception, inner seeing. I learned that term from Dr. Dan Siegel, fabulous psychiatrist at UCLA, the inner seeing. And we know what that is. When you have a low blood sugar and you get those sensations, the shakes, the sweats, the dizziness, the emotions, all of that comes up for you, that's interoception. When you feel the sluggishness and the exhaustion and the irritability and that thick blood molassesness that can come with a high blood sugar, that's interoception. So right now, bringing your sense of awareness to the internal body, and now turning our awareness to our breath and taking a few deep breaths at a pace that's good for you. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And trying to, if possible, breathe so deeply that your lungs are filled from the top to the bottom. When we breathe deeply, and on the inhale, we inflate our lungs to their fullest capacity. It puts pressure on our diaphragm, which in turn puts pressure on our vagus nerve, which in turn communicates to our brainstem that we are safe. We are not in danger right now. And there are a lot of aspects of life with diabetes that can make us feel unsafe and afraid. And facing a holiday meal with family or friends may be one of those triggers for you. And if it is, just give yourself this gift of deep breathing to soothe your nervous system. Just taking a few more breaths at your own pace. In and out. Nourishing your mind, your cells, your brainstem. Taking some time for yourself. This is an important self-care practice. So many of you have heard about mindfulness. It's very popular these days. And a simple definition of mindfulness, I'm going to share with you while you're continuing to breathe deeply and notice your body, interior, interoception. So my favorite definition of mindfulness is very basic. It's paying attention with our minds on purpose. So we are in charge. We're not just following our minds where they go. That happens a lot, but that's why mindfulness is different. In the present moment. So that means we're not worrying about the future or feeling guilty or bad about the past. And without judgment. That means we're not shaming, blaming, assigning an opinion. It's really an observation, kind of a neutral state of observation of what is. So that's basic mindfulness 101. Now I invite you to move with me into a short practice of self-compassion, which I have learned so much about from Dr. Kristin Neff. I encourage you to check out her work at University of Texas in self-compassion. Kristin Neff and her colleagues define self-compassion in 3 ways: mindfulness, common humanity, and self-kindness. So I invite you now to think of something about your diabetes that might be troubling you. Not big, terrible troubles, maybe some minor troubles. If you are listening to this on Thanksgiving, maybe it's thinking about the meal and all the pies and all the temptations, stuffing, all the things that you're not sure about eating, or you want to eat but you can't, or you can eat but you won't. Maybe if it's not Thanksgiving when you're listening to this, it could be any myriad things. So you think of something that's causing you a little constriction, a little unpleasantness, a little suffering with your diabetes. And just name that. This is the mindfulness part. Noting without a whole lot of attachment and going crazy with the story, what you're feeling and what is happening for you. Naming it. This is suffering. This hurts. This is scary. Naming it without running away with it. Naming it and noticing if there's some place in your body where that awareness is really speaking to you. So often it's in our guts, which have so many nerve endings, so many neurotransmitters flowing through them. Our guts are our second brains, right? Okay. So naming your feeling, your sensations, all of that. Second part of self-compassion is common humanity. You are not alone. You are not alone. There are ever increasing numbers of people dealing with diabetes. So unfortunately, our community, our tribe, is growing. But even when we feel our darkest and most isolated with diabetes, it can help to remember there are 150 million people in the planet, probably more than that, living with compromised pancreatic function, insulin resistance of some degree, or both. People who have to think like their pancreas, and that's not natural, that's a full-time job. So common humanity, you're not alone. Let's take another few deep breaths. And then the third dimension of self-compassion is self-kindness. Sometimes I find this easiest to do when I can imagine someone I really love and someone who I know really loves me wishing me kindness. Many of us have a hard time wishing ourselves the kindness that we do deserve. By kindness, I don't mean self-indulgence. So self-indulgence would be coming home from a bad day, having a lot of problems with diabetes or other issues, and drinking a bottle of wine or eating a pint of ice cream or candy bar or whatever. That's self-indulgence. And honestly, when we live with diabetes, it's just not really very wise. It's definitely not self-kindness in the long run. So self-kindness in this aspect, we're going to use loving kindness, and we're going to connect with a beloved other. So if this is possible for you, I invite you to imagine someone who loves you very much, unconditionally. It could be a pet, it could be a grandparent, maybe someone who's passed away, maybe it's a teacher, a minister, a community member, sibling, whatever. Think of someone, whoever it is for you, who you know loves you deeply. And imagine this beloved other sending these wishes straight from their eyes, their loving eyes and their loving heart, straight into yours. Allow your heart to open a little bit. We may have insulin resistance, but we don't need to have compassion resistance or loving kindness resistance. We can control that. Allow that open space in your heart and your mind as you imagine your beloved other sharing these wishes for you. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with joy and ease. May you be safe in this moment. May you be safe. May you be healthy. Even when we have diabetes, there is more right with us than wrong with us. Even when we have a high blood sugar, it's just a number. It's not a death sentence. It's a moment in time. So may you know health and be healthy despite diabetes or even because of it. May you be happy. May you know joy. And may you live with joy and ease. Again, despite diabetes or even because of it. Our challenges can become our teachers, can become our gifts. Let's wrap up with a few more deep breaths to nourish our nervous system and to tune in to our body and note if there are any changes, any shifts, any openings, any relaxations, or nothing. It's all fine. No expectations, just observations of what is. And know that the suffering of diabetes can be transformed with daily practices such as this. Simply grounding, noticing our breath, practicing mindfulness, recognizing common humanity, and giving ourselves the gift of self-kindness and loving kindness, or letting others give that gift to us as well. So whether this is Thanksgiving that you're listening to this or any other day of the year, may you be well.